The Bitcoin and the stock market looks bullish in the short term, but I recently closed 80% of my position in the stock market. So why do I do that? Good evening, my name is Chui. This is your trading and investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you why I closed 80% of my positions in the stock market and what my strategy is. So let's dive right into it. Let's start with the Bitcoin CME chart. So last week on Monday, Bitcoin break out of this resistance and enter into this upside range. But meanwhile, we created a new gap, and this make it a second gap for the Bitcoin CME chart. So the first gap, if you remember, it's at about 9,600, and we create this gap at around July 27th. And this new gap is from last week. So right now we have two gaps. If it's just one gap, we can say that there's a possibility that Bitcoin will never go back and refill this gap in the future. But right now we have two gaps, which make it an X factor for the Bitcoin future. In my opinion, there is a high possibility that Bitcoin will find a chance to come back and refill this gap. And there is also possibility that it may even come lower and fill this gap in the future. And I'll talk about this further in this video. But for now, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart on the spot chart. Now, on the spot chart, look at the BitMEX index funding. After this huge breakout, we almost got to positive, but the BitMEX index funding is still negative. And we are starting a consolidation here. This is bulls trying to keep the BitMEX index funding negative, which means the bulls is trying to accumulate momentum in this area. In the last video, we talked about this resistance becomes support. Right now we break out of this resistance, and this has become the support zone. This is why Bitcoin come back and retest this zone. And also from this symmetric triangle pattern, we talk about the target is around at $11,800, and we almost touch this target. So how long will Bitcoin stay consolidating in this area? This is an interesting topic because from the previous period, let's take a look at it. So this is the previous period. Let me mark it from this big drop until we break out here. It took about 135 days. Why do I measure it like this? Because take a look at the BitMEX index funding. We have a huge negative because of Bitcoin dump. And then all the way here, we have this a lot of small negative bars and a little bit of positive bars, meaning the consolidation is a pretty long time. Now let's take a look at what happens right now. If you move here, you see that our new consolidation only started here. And how long has it been? It's about 42 days. So in my opinion, Bitcoin will have a longer period of consolidation ahead to build up the momentum. At least for the next 1 or 2 months, that would be very healthy for Bitcoin to attract new investors, new money into the market. And it would be best for Bitcoin to stay this BitMEX index funding in mostly in the negative bars. Right now we are doing great. Over all these days, 42 days, we don't have one single positive bars. This is a really good movement from the bulls. So you'll see what happens in the coming 1 month or 2 months. Is there a possibility that Bitcoin will ignore this consolidation and just keep going up? It's possible. But in my opinion, that would be really unhealthy because this movement to the upside directly will make the BMAX index funding become positive definitely. In that case, the bulls will be handing the momentum to the bears, and bears could strike when this BMAX index become positive. So the best action for the bulls right now is to consolidate within this zone and keep this BMAX index funding in the negative bars. Okay, so that is the update for Bitcoins. So what do you think about the Bitcoin price? Do you think it will break down or do you think it will break out? Drop down to the comment section and let me know. Now let's take a look at the stocks and I'll tell you why I close 80% of my position. So in my last video, I talked about the stock market looks really bullish because at that time, the fear and greed index was in fear about 39 to 40. And when there is a lot of people of fear, the bulls will push the price up, and that is usually what happens. And that is what happens for the last week. We have a huge pump from the bulls. And right now we are reaching resistance zone. And this resistance zone is all-time high. And this is the first uncertainty factor. And this is the first reason why I closed my 80% of my positions. The uncertainty. When the stock is trying to challenge the all-time high, make it a really, really dangerous and uncertain condition. The second factor that I closed my 80% positions is the uncertainty of US election. In this channel, we don't talk about the politics, but this election, no doubt, has created a really large uncertainty in the stock market, and it will keep doing so in the next 1 and 2 months. In my opinion, no matter who got elected become the next president of the United States, there is a high possibility for the stock market have a really volatile for the next 2 or 3 months. And this is the second factor that I close 80% of my positions in the stock market. The third reason that I close my position is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is pretty correlated with the stock market in the last year and this year. So whenever stock market have a big drop, Bitcoin will also have a big drop. On the contrary, if you think about it, the stock market is also correlated with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin have a big drop, there is also a possibility for the stock market to have a big drop. Now, we come back to the Bitcoin CME chart and look at these two gaps. I think in the next 2 or 3 months, there is a possibility that Bitcoin will come back and refill these two gaps, which make it an X factor for the stock market. If Bitcoin can come back and refill these two gaps, that would be a pretty huge drop, and that will mean that stock market might also have a big drop in the next 2 or 3 months. And that is the third reason that I close 80% of my position in the stock market. Now, in the short term, is it possible for the stock market to keep going up and surpass this all-time high? Yes, it's possible, and it looks very possible at the moment. But I don't want to risk 80% of my position in this really volatile near future. Now, last but not least, the last reason I close 80% of my position is the monthly chart. So this is the monthly chart. Let me remove this. And if you take a look at this, we are keep making higher highs for the stock market. But for RSI, we keep making lower highs. 1, 2, 3. And this is a classic bearish divergence. And bearish divergence on the monthly time frame, that is no joke. If it goes down there's a possibility that we might enter a huge bear market in the stock market. And this bearish divergence happens in every index, including Dow Jones. See this price going up, RSI going down, and also in Nasdaq. For Nasdaq, the bearish divergence is not that severe, and there is a possibility that we can break this bearish divergence by pushing the RSI to about 85, 86 level, but it's pretty difficult in my opinion, given the economic situation in the United States. And that is why I close 80% of my positions in the stock market. Now let's talk about my strategy. Even though I retrieve 80% of my positions, I don't want to put this money in the bank, because in the bank I only got like about 0.2% per year in the saving account. So I look at the DeFi space, and I'm gonna put my money in the DeFi space for now. And which DeFi project am I looking at? The one I'm looking at is Binance. So Binance is the largest exchange for all coins and Bitcoins. So this year we have a pretty large DeFi wave, and people make a lot of money in the DeFi space. And Binance, as the largest centralized exchange, it's not in the forefront of the DeFi space, but recently Binance has launched a liquid swap DeFi project. And if I provide liquidity in this liquid swap, I can get the highest about 40 to 45% annual percentage yield, which means if I put in $100, a year later I can get $142 back. And this is where I put my money, my 80% of my stock position money, into this DeFi project. And it's already starting to make me money. And I'm gonna keep my money in this project until the volatility of the stock goes off. Now, you might be worried that is there a huge risk to put it in Binance? I think that's the least worry you should get, because Binance is pretty much the most trustworthy exchange for cryptocurrency. For this kind of large exchange, they have a hot wallet and a cold wallet. Most of the funding will be kept in the cold wallet. So in the cold wallet, it's impossible to be hacked because it's kept in different locations, separated from the internet. And for the hot wallet, if they get hacked, Binance has the insurance to pay you back from their cold wallet. So I think the risk for this project is relatively low. And the very lucrative thing about this project is this really high interest rate I can get. In the stock market, if I do my best, I probably can get about 30 to 40 or even 50% of return. But here I can already get 40% of return at least. So that's a very good return for me. Now let's come back to the stock market. So a lot of people know there was a really large volatility in the next 2 or 3 months because of all the factors I just released. And this is why people are starting to retrieve from the stock market. And this is why you see this pullback from the stock market in all 3 index. Nasdaq, S&P 500, Dow Jones, we all see this pullback. So how low will it go? We don't know at this moment. Given the volatility in the near future, I cannot tell at the moment. But if you take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, we are at about 55. Today it even gets to about 60. So if you take a look at the junk bond demand, we are extreme greed. Market momentum at greed. put and call options, we are at greed. So a lot of market in the greed, and this to me is a dangerous signal, and this is why I close some of my positions. But in my opinion, I think there is still some momentum left for the bulls. If this consolidation can last for about 1 to 2 weeks, there's a possibility that the bulls might keep pushing the price up and challenge the all-time highs for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So that's the update for the stock market. What do you think about these indexes? Which stock are you in? Jump down to the comment section and let me know. Now let's take a look at gold and silver. So this is the gold chart and this is the silver chart. They're pretty similar. Both of them have a big pump. Silver also have a big pump. And this silver on the daily chart shows a gravestone doji. And this is why we got this big drop for the silver. And also a big drop for the gold. Now, because of this price movement, we can now adjust the chart. This line can be put in here, and we can also move this line in here, which makes it a large descending triangle. If the gold price come back down here and bounce off and then break this resistance line, it will be very bullish for the gold in the long term. On the contrary, if the gold come back down, test this line, and then break this line, and then there is a possibility that we might revisit the next support zone, which is at around this level, which is $1750. Silver is at a similar shoes. We can adjust this line, something like this. This will be a descending channel, and which is a bullish pattern. If silver can come back down here and do something like this and break this line, that will be very bullish for the silver price. On the contrary, if silver break this line to the downside, that will be even more bullish. Yes, you heard me right. It will be even more bullish because it will attract a lot of funding for the silver. Because people saw what happened last time. We break into the downside to about $11, $12, and then we got this huge pump. And there's a high possibility if the price can come to about this level, $15, people will come in and buy it up again. So that is the update for the gold and silver price. So what do you think about the gold and silver price? Do you think they will go up? Do you think they will go down? Jump down to the comment section and let me know. Now, next, let's take a look at the oil price. Okay, so this is the US oil, the oil price. The oil price, I have to say, it looks really bullish. Now, if you take a look at this, we have a W-shape recovery. This is the first bullish pattern. Now, the second bullish pattern is we have a low here, and then we have a higher low, and then we have another higher low. And right now we're battling this resistance zone, and we have a one touch point, two touch point, third touch point, which make it a really bullish ascending triangle pattern, which is really bullish. If you connect this line, you can see this, although we have a breakdown here, but it's still a higher low compared to this one. So this pattern is a really bullish ascending triangle pattern, and 80% of the time it will break to the upside. and the target is pretty high. I think I put this line here, and this is the target at about $46. So I think the oil price is really bullish right now. And also from the RSI, I talked about this RSI before. We touched it once, twice, third time, fourth time, fifth time, breakout, come back down, break this line, revisit the 20 level. This is my favorite trading pattern. And this pattern will a lot of times will result in a really huge upside movement. Right now we have breakout of this pattern and retesting this line, and we are bounced off. So there's a high possibility that oil will make something really bullish in the next 1 month or 2 months. Okay, so that is the update for all the markets. So what do you think about the oil price? Do you think it will go up? Do you think it will break out from this pattern? Jump down to the comment section and let me know. My name is Chui. This is your trading and investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. Thank you guys so much to come back to the channel. If you like my content, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. And thank you guys again to come back to the channel. And I wish you guys have a wonderful day. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.